This is the regular meeting of the Architectural Board of Review, Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. Can we have a roll call, please, Mike?
Sure. Member Cottrell.
Aye. Here.
That'd be you.
Member Dahlman.
Here.
Member Stratoff.
Here.
Member Kerouac.
Here.
And Chair Hunter.
Here.
Okay, all five are here.
All right, we're still short two. Okay, consideration of the April 5th minutes. Anybody have any comments, corrections, whatever?
I move they be approved.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
No second? Okay, now hearing no other comments, we'll do a roll call, right? We're still doing roll call on
Yeah,
everything?
that's right. Member Stratoff.
Here.
Aye. Member Kerouac.
Aye.
Member Cottrell.
Aye.
Member Dahlman.
Aye.
And Chair Hunter.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay, next item on the agenda is, the board will entertain anybody that would like to speak either in here or on a Zoom, I guess, to something that's not on tonight's agenda. Anybody in here for something not for that? Do you have anybody online there?
No one's raising their hand online. so-
Okay, then we'll move right along. So next is the public hearing to review a site plan for the Lake Bluff Library at 123 East Scranton. So, Eric, that's you, or your team? And everybody has to be up there that's gonna speak and say your name and where you're at.
And one thing we want to tell everybody who's going to speak tonight, even though we can hear you without microphones, we are broadcasting to cable access, yeah, so if you can use the microphone at the dais, so everybody everywhere can hear you.
All right, how do we feel about this proximity?
That's probably good, that's probably fine.
Oh, thank you. That's all right either way. All right, so we're here tonight to propose 2 raised garden beds on the west corner of the library lot, a few feet off of the sidewalk. They're going to be learning gardens for the Lake Bluff Public Library in partnership with our Summer Reading Club program, which this year's theme is Growing Readers. And we were hoping to do this theme in 2020, but that got derailed, so we're finally coming back to it now in 2022. The proposal is for 2 raised garden beds of approximately 4 feet by 8 feet, 11 inches in depth, where we're gonna be doing square foot gardening of a variety of vegetables, herbs, some marigolds to hopefully keep the pests away, and yeah, then we're gonna put an arched trellis between the 2 raised beds for the climbing and vining plants to grow onto, as well as using some small kind of house-shaped coops to hopefully, again, keep the pests away. We've started a variety of seeds already at the library that we have under a growing lamp, and they're doing just swimmingly, as well as a variety of elements that we'll be planting directly into the dirt.
Okay, great. That it?
Do you have any questions?
Did you have any questions about the location and where we're planning on installing the raised beds? It's about 3 feet from the sidewalk along Oak Avenue, and they are within the easement from the building. And they're about 2 feet apart?
Yeah,
From
there'll
each
be
other?
3 feet walkway between them, and they actually straddle our easement. So it's about half on, half off.
Okay, Scott, start down your end. Any comments?
Yeah, my only comment would be the location. So they're 3 feet off the sidewalk? I mean, have you thought about dogs or like people walking their dogs? And, I mean, is there any way to push them off the sidewalk a little bit?
There
or-
isn't any way to push them off the sidewalk further in that location.
Yeah.
That is the best access to water from our building, which is why we landed on that location.
Okay.
There will, I mean, yeah, I guess it'll be up to the owners to keep the dogs out,
Yeah.
but we will have the coops as well for portions of the garden.
Yeah, okay. That would be my only
Yeah.
hesitation, just
Our-
too close to the sidewalk.
Our landscaping is such that it wouldn't be possible to push them further away from the sidewalk.
Part of what we'll be doing is a lot of children's programming as well as adult programming, so the ability to be able to walk around it with a handful of people just seemed to be easier access and being able to get to the vegetables. So that was partly why we didn't go into the dirt, which is where the landscaping kind of curves, especially by the park bench. We were just trying to not invade too far into that sculpture of landscaping.
Okay. And they're 11 inches high? Okay. That's it?
Matt?
No, is there any evening lighting on this side of the library?
So it's possibly not the best in terms of sunlight for the vegetable garden, but I'm hoping that the residual heat from the brick will give the garden a little bit of a better chance than some of the more sunny areas, which are also more exposed to the east.
And then at nighttime, how lit is this side of the library?
The
Just for
street,
security and just,
yeah, the streets are pretty well
Pretty
lit.
lit, yeah.
We walk that sidewalk every night when we're closing the library.
Okay.
So I would say they're, yeah,
it just, right, without a lot of light, it could be, people aren't used to it there.
right.
That's all, but yeah,
Yeah, and
that's
it's,
right.
it's not physically close. We kind of marked it out on the grass.
Yeah.
It's not in the walkway.
Right,
so,
sure.
Yeah.
And then how long are you proposing to keep this? Is it just through the summer and then you'll take it down, or is this gonna be a permanent?
I'd love to
Element.
make this, assuming that the actual like educational aspect goes really well, which fingers crossed. I'd love to continue doing the learning gardens for several years, as long as these raised bed structures last, for example, and then we'll reevaluate at that point in time.
And then is there thought to, if that's the case, then like the wear around it, on the ground? Is there any thoughts to changing that from grass to some other type of surface, like a gravel or something, just so people can walk around, this is mostly for, like, people will be surrounding this, is that part of the lesson plan?
We don't
Or-
have any current plans for additional walkway surfaces,
Okay,
but definitely something to consider.
yeah, okay. And then I take it the trellis will be just in between the two ends, right? Not like the photo where it's
Yeah,
running parallel, they're kind of,
correct.
so it's just
It
one
connects
that
them,
does
yeah.
the connection, yeah. Okay. Yeah, great, thanks.
Neil?
We've got, I assume that what you're proposing is gonna look like this, but you've
Yes.
also given us two other designs in here.
So those are designs, those are elements of that design. So the raised garden beds are actually, as you see in the upper left-hand corner, those would be the raised garden beds that we would be putting into place. The right-hand one is the trellis that we're thinking between the two garden beds. And then the coops are something that we purchased to help keep the garden safe from small rodents and birds. And
I'm
presumably
happy with
dogs.
the one that you've proposed. I kind of like the one with the glass on the top, because it seems like it would be more of a learning thing for people that could extend the year further. But the one that you proposed is fine also.
It's wire, it's not glass.
Oh, it's just wire?
Yeah, it's wire.
Okay,
So
couldn't
it's
tell
just,
from that.
yeah, it's to help to keep animals out.
Okay.
Although it would be easy enough to put some plastic over that same structure to help for overwintering, as you're suggesting.
But anyway, I like the idea, and I think, I hope you get the approval and proceed.
Thank you.
Art?
I have nothing to add. I think it looks fine.
I think it's a good idea. But picking up on, I think what Matt said about walking around it, one of these pictures shows just some blocks sitting on the ground. And that's basically all you do, they're $2 a piece.
All right, we'll put it on the
But,
list.
so the cages, the little triangular cage, you're gonna have that, and then
Yeah.
you're gonna have the trellis.
Yeah, it's not, the size that they come in, it's not gonna be able to cover the entire bed, so, but I'll do my best to get it to cover as much of the bed as possible. And obviously, it's not gonna go over the trellis, it's not gonna fit well over
Right,
the
right.
trellis, but beyond that part, we're gonna get as much covered as we can.
All right. well,
What are the planters made of?
So they're made of pine. They're actually local pine that was milled in Gurney and treated with a shu sugi ban technique.
Okay. Is that like a flame?
Yes,
Flame technique?
Yeah.
Okay,
To weatherproof them.
yeah.
I did have to Google that name several times.
Okay, anything else from anybody? Any questions or comments out there? No? All right, then let's make a motion of some sort.
I move approval of the planter beds for the library.
Second?
I second?
Any further discussion? Thoughts? Okay, then let's do a roll call.
Okay. Member Stradiff,
Aye.
Member Kerouac,
Aye.
Member Cottrell,
Aye.
Member Dahlman,
Aye.
and Chair Hunter.
Hey,
Okay, motion
good luck
passes.
with your project.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you very
Does
much.
this have to go to the zoning board just because
The,
it's
the
on public,
village, the village, oh, no, not zoning board, no.
village board?
Yeah, just the village board
okay.
normally. Yeah, so that's a recommendation. It goes to the village board, so I can put it on for next Monday's.
That's
village
wonderful.
board
Thank
meeting.
you.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Sure,
you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Next is consideration for plan for, is Bob going to be here? Is anybody here?
Rob Douglas is connected on Zoom to us.
Okay, then we'll keep going on that.
Yeah.
So next on the agenda then is a consideration of a plan for outdoor dining on Block 1 of Scranton Avenue.
And you all have the latest drawings here.
Yeah.
Paper form.
Mike, before Rob, if he's going to make a pitch on this, can you kind of give us some background of, this is, from my understanding, this is like a transition piece between the Block 1 that Tesca has looked at and everybody has it's kind of tentatively approved,
Right.
and this is an experiment.
Right, yeah, that's a good point. So, you know, the plan for this block was approved. I know we've all seen a lot of that and discussed it, but we're waiting to find out when we'll have the money to build it. We applied for 2 grants this summer. If we get one of those, we may be able to begin construction next spring of that. If we don't get either of those, then, you know, it'll be up to the village board to budget it, approve it in part of the budget, one of the budgets for one of the following years. So that's yet to be seen which year that gets budgeted for.
Okay, so,
Okay, so we want to go to Rob Douglas
yeah,
first
well,
for
you're
his
up here, and
presentation?
you are,
Yeah, I'm Mike Dorniker, owner of Lake Bluff Brewing, so
Oh,
I'm here to
okay,
just
all
talk
right.
about it. Rob's gonna go through the particulars of materials and stuff like that, and I'm here for support.
okay, great, thank you. Rob, you're on your own up here.
Okay, well, apologize for being out of town, but I didn't know about doing this ABR meeting until after plans have been made where I was going to be out of town, but here I am. This whole parklet idea goes back, honestly, 8 years. I think when the brewery was first opened under Rod Specketer and Mr. Burns. And so this idea has been bounced around for quite a while. And in light of the conceptual plan being considered for Block 1, and not really knowing when that funding will occur, this is an intermediate approach to the outside seating. And first of all, the concrete barriers in the tent will be removed at the end of the month. And this will substitute for that. I know from Mavry's, they're very happy about it because they don't have their servers walking across a street. This, you know, make it completely adjacent to the sidewalk is a real benefit to them, and I'm sure for the brewery. And as far as the parklet goes, it'll be done for basically running in parallel to outside seating in downtown Lake Bluff, which is April 1 through October 31st. And this structure will be built in a modular manner so that we can disassemble it in November 1, and then be able to reassemble it again in the spring, and we can store it in the building. I think the important thing here, first of all, was trying to get additional seating for these two businesses in town. And then secondly, let's try to make this as safe as possible. The first thing is the decking will be scribed to the asphalt so that we can get the parklet floor aligning with the sidewalk. So there will be no step down. It'll be a contiguous surface heading out into the parallel parking along the north side of Scranton Avenue. Then we'll be having siding that we'll be putting up. We're going to use a T111 plywood, so it'll have kind of a plank-like appearance. We have not defined exactly what the color would be, but it would be stained in probably some kind of a neutral gray type color is my initial thinking here. And that's a discussion that I really haven't had fully with Greg and Mike about. Mike has offered some barrels that he's used for aging some of his product, and these barrels have reached their lifespan. He's got 8 of them, and we were going to put those out there as elements around the parklet. We will slide a 4x4 post into it, fill it with sand, so it's a very stable element there. And hang on, I got a dialogue coming up. And then with that, those posts, those 4x4 posts, we'll then run cable at the top of those posts to the building, and then hang festive lighting on it as being proposed with block 2 and 4. I believe this is really going to make a very attractive piece to the block 1 area. One thing that's made, I've really tried to emphasize with both the merchants, and they're going to have to work with staff on this, but we need to maintain that 5-foot clearance between the doors entering the building and any outside seating, so we don't obstruct any emergency egress that might occur, God forbid, but we want to make sure that we keep that area well controlled. And I think by getting additional seating out here, which will be, I think 72 would be the capacity of people, 36 for each business. It'll really, I think, help enhance their business needs when it comes to the summer months. Now, as far as the length of time, I appreciate you, Mike, referencing possible timelines with these grants that are being sought after.
That's what I want.
And there are no guarantees with that. So I've had some discussions with Drew about a time period for these parklets, because it is a significant investment on material and labor to put these together, let alone additional furniture that both merchants will have to supply to fill these. And by the way, as a quick little detail, I forgot to mention, on the floor of the parklet, this will be a pressure treated plywood, but we'll probably use a deck paint and then add some sand into it so that we have a good friction on the surface. So we want to make sure there are no tripping points, and we aren't creating a skating rink out there in the event of rain. And I think that's about all I have right now for the overview. Mike, I did send that photo of a parklet in another town. I don't know if
We
the,
got it. Yeah.
Yeah, they have
We
a
have it.
copy at their
Thanks, Bob.
place, printed
well,
on paper.
it's not like, it's exactly like that, but that's basically the idea. And then, of course, we're gonna adapt it to this particular site here. So, and Mike, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add?
No.
So, well, I guess I'll just,
Well said, well said.
well, just fire some questions and we'll go from there.
Okay. Art, what do you think?
The only, and it's really just a quibble, is the 4x4 post. I mean, those things are gonna warp, and I'm not sure how great looking they're gonna be after a couple of months, but, you know, the ones holding the lights, they, you know, I'm assuming it's a treated post, and, you know, they're gonna corkscrew, and I don't know, that's all I thought.
They do that.
And, but I would also be curious to know how much more seating would be on the actual sidewalks, say on a busy summer evening. You know, what sort of numbers would you get
Well, I mean, currently,
on what's available on these parklets?
currently with the current setup, the previous past 2 summers, on Fridays, we've had waiting lists, even though we have all that extra outdoor seating. So we've had waiting lists on Fridays in the summer, and we're busy on that seating, the current setup, most Saturdays as well. So on our peak times, you know, we're actually getting a slight reduction of seats here. So, you know, we would be seeing waiting lists again for Fridays and Saturdays.
But there would be tables and seating on the sidewalk?
Yes.
And stuff as well.
Correct, that's correct.
All right.
And as far as the posts go, you know, I would imagine whatever, you know, weather-resistant deck painting we're gonna use, whatever color, would also be applied to the posts. Or could also be applied to the posts.
Neil?
What happens to the traffic? Does it remain one way,
No, it's going back to two-way.
going back to two-way?
Yeah, the village, first of all, once the tent removed and the barriers moved, the 12 or 13 parallel parking spaces adjacent to the village green will be back, available for parking, and it'll be a two-way street. So what's happening here is there'll be 5 parallel parking on the north side of the street that will be occupied by these parklets, and then of course removed before winter plows are coming through. But it will be a two-way street again. And I think that is an open discussion, I think, still about what happens with block 1, if it's a one-way or a two-way. I think that's still an open conversation. But at this juncture, yes, it'll be a two-way street.
I agree with Art. I'm concerned about the 4x4s, the posts, as to whether or not they shouldn't be metal posts or something that's not going to twist up. And I am concerned about what the actual color is going to be. It's hard to describe a color. Rob did a good job of it, but it's still hard to understand what it'll be. Those are the only comments I had.
Okay.
Well, how about Cabot Cape Cod gray? It's a warmer tone gray, but it won't get hot because it's not a dark color. But it's a driftwood gray color. But, you know, we can come back to you with, you know, the color that would be acceptable to everybody. I think more importantly is this idea going to be acceptable or not? Because, I mean, that's really kind of the big nut that we need to crack right now. And we could put an asterisk on it that color to be approved and determined later if this concept is acceptable.
That's all for me.
That's it, Matt?
I guess my concern would be, you know, I appreciate what you're trying to achieve. You know, the photo, you know, you see these in Chicago and in Highwood. There's definitely examples of this. My feeling a little bit is that we're kind of approaching this as a temporary solution, but it might be out there for multiple summers. You know, the T11 is a very cheap looking material. You know, so to me, I think the idea is great, and what you're trying to achieve is great for the restaurants and bars on that block. I would just be concerned a little bit about having it look just as hodgepodgey as it does now with the tent, which was kind of put up, you know, for the pandemic.
Right.
I wouldn't want it to look like this is a temporary solution if it's out there for 3 years. I think that's the issue, you know, with our tents, is that they feel very temporary and they've been there, you know. There's complaints about it from Village, you know, we understand. I would want, you know, if it's gonna be something that's there for 2 to 3 years, I think we'd want to see a little bit more detail besides just, you know, T11 panels on boards. That feels, you know, kind of like a DIY project and not something that is kind of intrinsically at the same level as the rest of Lake Bluff in this block. It's a beautiful building, you know, it's a beautiful block. I'd want to make sure that we maintain the integrity of this block. And right now, these materials don't quite get me there. And I know we're trying to be cost conscious, but it is going to be a big statement on the block. And, you know, if we don't do this successfully, you know, there may be pushback to other ideas. You know, we keep going from one temporary solution to another. I would just want to see if we could make sure that whatever we do, there's a level of design to it. And I appreciate the cost concerns here, but there might be a better way to do this than just T11 paneling on a 2x4 frame. And then with the barrels are a very kitschy, fun thing to do, and I appreciate that. But I think there just needs to be a little bit bigger study on how it's put together before I would give, you know, just blanket approval of this.
Scott?
I have a question about the lighting. I'm trying to understand how the lighting system works. Can you explain that? Or one of you explain that?
Pretty straightforward. You know, there'll be cabling going to the building, anchored to the building. And then the lights will be hung from that cable. We're not going to be doing, you know, that kind of drooping strings that are done. This will be nice straight lines and creating the canopy type feel of these lights. And it's the lights that are being used right now outside of Innovasi. That's the same lighting type of fixture that we're looking at using.
Okay, and those will go all the way to the building from the,
Correct.
okay. And the posts hold up the cable that's gonna support all the lighting?
I'm sorry, say again, please.
The 4x4 posts hold up the cables that are gonna support the lighting?
Correct.
Okay.
And then I'm thinking that we probably have an electrician run a plug or a box off of the exterior lighting of the storefront signs. So these lights will be attached to the timer clock of those lights.
I don't have any other questions.
That's it? Okay. I guess I have a few comments. I kind of agree with what Matt said about the T111, but I'm wondering if it's really necessary to totally cover it. You know, I think your framework there is okay. I like the barrels. But could it just be almost like a railing across the top where you put another post, you know, probably go 8 feet instead of 16 feet, and really just have a rail? You're just trying to keep people from falling off. Not trying to keep, you know, balls from going into the street or anything. And just kind of let it go with that. You're not putting any planter material or anything like the photo that you showed. Right, Rob?
No, I, as I said, that was just giving you an idea of what this could look like, but
Yeah.
yeah, they have planter boxes strapped on that, and
Yeah,
I don't know if, you know, if the budget would accommodate that. I mean, lumber is expensive enough already at this point, so But, to consider doing more of a rail with a baluster system in there, I mean, that's something I guess we could certainly look at doing.
You're not restricted by code, it's 6 inches off the ground, so you don't have any worry about
Correct.
that. So that's one thing. I wouldn't worry too much about I've got some 4x4, both cedar posts, which are very expensive now, but they're 10 feet long and they're fine. They've been up for years, and I got a couple of other ones that are holding up a trellis and they're womanized and they're also fine. So I worry about the tension that goes against those when you're trying to straighten between the building wall and that's pretty long distance you're going. You're gonna have some sag there. So anyway, that's an issue that you have to deal with. I'm not really concerned about the color. I trust that your judgment has been good all along, that you're gonna do, the right color. I know what that Cape Cod gray is, and that's a nice color. If you're gonna do the festival lighting, we went through a routine with Tesca, looking at a series of light fixtures and bulbs and temperatures bulbs for the festival stuff that's gonna happen on Block 2. And I think you should probably use the same stuff so that it's consistent, up and down the street, because it goes from Bluffington's, all the way up to now your place. Did I read? Pardon?
I agree. I agree 100% there.
Yeah, I mean, probably you didn't know that we had done that, but there is a particular string that she came up with out of 3 or 4 that we looked at.
Okay.
And I don't know, has this been through the ZBA, or does it have to be? There was,
No, it doesn't have to be. It
Okay.
was discussed at Village
It was
Board.
I know
and
it's
they
discussed at
asked,
Village Board.
For this
Yeah.
board's recommendation on the appearance, but going back to them for final.
I don't know, has anybody else got any other thoughts after?
But it has to go to the village board, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does go back to
Yeah,
them.
but they're gonna wanna know what we think.
Right.
And so far, we haven't really given Bob a definite direction. And I understand that a sheet of plywood now is at least $100. I don't know what T111 is, but what is expensive?
I agree about the materials and their longevity and so forth, but, it would seem to me that in the spring, if they gave everything another coat of stain, when they put it back together, it would probably look good, assuming they put a coat of stain on
Yeah.
it. But if it's not maintained, I think over a period of a couple of years, it's gonna look a little shop worn.
Any other comments? I mean, how do we?
I do like your less is more for the railing. If it's not gonna be like this amazing design, which I get, that's a very expensive wall that they're
Yeah,
showed us a
that-
picture
that-
of.
that's when-
And trust me, I'm trying to do something and it's painful. But maybe we do find an agreeable solution where it is some kind of horizontal rail, intermediary post, that's done nicely, with 3 pieces instead of all
Yeah,
this.
you don't need all the balustrades and.
Yeah, don't need that.
Just-
And you would need that for
Support
the.
everything.
Yeah.
And there's also, if you were gonna use that out of dimension lumber, I had a deck redone 3 years ago now out of this, it's called what's it called now? Cedar tone. And it's pressure treated lumber and it's cedar tone, and after 3 years of being outside, it still looks like cedar. It's a very nice color, so you don't have to do anything with it. Just a thought to throw out there. Basically, as far as the whole notion, I support the notion of what we're trying to do here, and I think it's a good test. But now, what Mike was saying, you will have additional besides what's the CIS on this
Right.
I wanna
So
call them
we
platelets.
wouldn't have any-
You're gonna have additional seating on the sidewalk.
Right, but we wouldn't have any up against the building, like, in the previous years before the pandemic, we'd kind of have it on both sides. It would only be on that side of the street with the parklets.
Now, would you have awnings at these tables at all? Just to make it a little more,
We would like something like that. Again, it kind of goes back to the cost factor. I've looked at trying to get umbrellas because the
That's what I
one,
mean,
yeah, the one issue we're gonna have going to this side of the street is gonna be the sun, where we're kind of in the shade now.
yeah.
So I don't know if umbrellas will cut it, or some type of an awning is a better approach. But currently, we're planning on just doing umbrellas.
Okay. Rob, have you got any direction?
Yeah, I mean, but by the way, awnings, I explored that idea 7, 8 years ago. And for the building to do awnings on those storefronts would require an addendum to the special use permit of the building, I believe it was. So it really, that cost was of the process was the equivalent of 2 of the awnings. And I thought, well, still doesn't need it that bad if that's the kind of cost that was going to be implemented on the building. So I think we're operating under the temporary language right now. And this may be going on a year-by-year basis. I was asking Drew about a longer-term commitment because of the capital investment here for the merchants and the building. The building's participating in this too, because we want our businesses to be successful. But we got to watch our budget too. So everything we're doing, I guess, is going to be under that language of temporary.
Yeah.
And it's a question of how do we define that word? And that hasn't been fully understood at this point, you know. And I think it's all about waiting for this potential, either funding this grant that the village is seeking or putting it into their future capital budgets. So, and that budget also, if the village ends up having to do it themselves without a grant, budget may reduce the scope of the work too from what the TESCA schemes are currently showing. So it's all kind of fluid right now.
Well, just to clarify something, when I said awnings, I misspoke. I meant umbrellas. So,
Oh,
'cause
okay.
I remember having a discussion sometime back about awnings, and my opinion is, yeah, it's facing the south, but I mean, your building doesn't really warrant awnings. It's too nice, the way it is.
Well, it's, but yeah, we can certainly look at doing some kind of, doing a guardrail that's different than using the T111. We were just thinking about, you know, typically these parklets have more of a wall-like character on them versus an open baluster. So, but, you know, I would still think by code, we still have to maintain, you know, no greater than a 4-inch opening between the vertical balusters, so you don't have a child's head being stuck in there. And, you know, families, this is a family town, we don't want that happening. So there are some code things that we want to make sure we're covering. And you're right, we don't have to be at a 42-inch rail height. It's just a matter of containing the space. And, but yeah, we can look into that and see, you know, what that might cost and what that might look like. As far as a baluster, that is.
Well, when I was just thinking of instead of 4 inches, 8 feet, you know, all you're doing is supporting the top rail. To sort of define the space and not enclose the space. That's something you could play around with if you're at all interested in that idea.
Yeah, okay, well.
I've seen that a few times in the city, actually at breweries where they had barrels and they had just 2 or 3 horizontal balusters between the two.
Yeah, and there's some of them have done it with rope.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you got enough to go on, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Do we need to go forward with this, or what do we need to do?
So the plan is Rob's coming back with revisions for the
Well,
board to look
I
at?
guess based on what we've discussed, I think so. Is that okay with you, Rob?
You know, I guess then what's the timeline? Because this will have to go through 2 readings. Well, once you're been satisfied, it'll require 2 readings by the village board.
I don't know that it does.
Yeah, 2 readings is only for an ordinance, so I think just 1 reading by the village board will be enough to approve it. If an
Okay.
ordinance isn't needed, which I assume it's not.
Yeah, we're up against the clock a little bit with the
Sure.
main seating going away May 31st.
Could Bob just work with them before the village meeting and get
Yeah,
some kind of fence thing designed? I'm throwing you under the,
You throwing it again?
yeah, we could do something
Could
like
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
If this group trusts me to just work with you, Rob,
Sure.
we can, because I'm home every day, all day. Except when I'm not, so, you know.
Well, I'm currently out of town, but I have everything on my laptop, so I can generate some alternatives with these guardrails.
Yeah, okay. And, you know, I understand your budget concerns, you know, especially now, it's crazy.
Well, yeah, you're looking at, I think it's 12 sheets of plywood per, I think it was 12 sheets in there. Well, it's 24 sheets. And, you know, if they are $100, I mean, I know they've been up that high, but the prices are fluctuating. I mean, well, Scott, you could probably speak to it. I don't know of any contractor that can hold a lumber price more than like 10 days. So, but hopefully we'll get some luck and getting a decent, you know, price tag on that plywood. And I think that's probably the most expensive component of the whole thing right now. But look, I'll work on some alternatives as far as these guardrails go, and get something to you ASAP.
Okay. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
And what I'll probably do is I'll send it to Mike.
Send it to Mike, and at some point.
Yeah, no, I can pass it on to
Yeah,
Bob.
if
Yeah,
we have to
sounds
sit down
good.
together, we can do that.
Okay.
All right? So then, that's what we're gonna do right now.
Yeah,
We
that's-
don't need to make any motions about anything.
That's right. Yeah, that's good.
All
but
right,
do we
thanks,
need to
Bob.
get, wait, but, I'm so sorry. But to get him to the village board,
You wanna
when's
come
that
back and
hearing?
See it again.
Do we want, no, but I would rather him not have to come back here.
I would too.
So do we want
So
to just make a motion?
We make a
for,
motion that we approve it based on an approved design by Bob.
Basically, based on Bob to review the
Bob, yeah.
revisions? Yeah.
And so he can
okay.
go right to not come back here.
That sounds good. Then we can do a motion
Yeah,
and
that
a vote
sounds good,
tonight.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'd be contingent upon the refinement of the guardrail component to this. But otherwise, conceptually, it's
Oh, yeah.
acceptable.
Yeah, I don't think there's an issue.
Okay.
Can I just so move that, what he just said?
Yeah,
Because he said it way better than we would ever say it.
okay.
Okay.
So,
You made the
you
motion.
made a motion, somebody needs to second that motion.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Okay. Member Cottrell,
Aye.
Member Dahlman,
Aye.
Member Stradiff,
Aye.
Member Kerouac,
Aye.
and Chair Hunter.
Oh, okay.
Motion passes.
Start
We're not going to
Pinteresting.
have to retire at all, Mr. Hunter. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so we're to the self-storage.
Right, okay.
Feel free to plug your laptop back in. I thought that would make Rob appear on the screen, but turns out I had the magic button all along.
So next on the agenda is a consideration of, well, actually, there's a public hearing
Right.
to review a site plan for Lake Bluff Storage LLC at 105 Albrecht Drive. So, it's your show.
All righty. Hi, I'm John Rasich, and this is Mike Surik. I'm with Abington Emerson, and Mike is with Rock Inc. And we recently purchased 105 Albrecht, which is the old Liquid Controls building. And we have the intention of turning it into a self-storage facility. We have plans right now on what we call Phase 1, which would be retrofitting the existing 62,000 square foot building. We submitted those plans, did you say, about 3 weeks ago, Mike?
Yeah.
Give or
yeah,
take, and so
right.
they're in review, and what Mike told us is they're looking, it's favorably moving forward, so we're excited about that. And what we're in front of you today is the expansion of the facility. So what we're looking to do is add an additional 55,000 square foot footprint on the vacant land to the east of the building. And just having a little trouble here.
Yeah, it did.
It's not,
It's funny, well,
it's showing my back screen, not the presentation.
can you minimize the presentation and then re-enlarge it?
That's
Will
what I
that
think
do
I'm
it?
trying to
Yeah.
do.
Or would closing PowerPoint and opening it again put it back in?
I'm having a little trouble here.
I'm of the boards and slides press generation.
I don't know.
He's one of our grandkids here.
Where was the,
Maybe end show. There we go.
Okay.
Well, that's the extent of my IT. Can't even spell IT.
So now you just need to go to the slideshow view again from the menu.
All right.
Yeah, that should be, click up there. No, start from the beginning. Yep,
There
there
we
we
go.
go. All right.
All righty. Sorry about that. But, so here's the site plan that we've proposed. You can see the addition, the parking that we have in place. To the north, that's what we're gonna have, where we're gonna have the office on Phase 1. So what we're going to propose today is that 55,000 square foot addition on the eastern portion of the property. So this is a 3D rendering of the existing facility along with the addition, with the signage just put in place there. There's a little closer view. The office will be on the north side right here. And this is a view from the, would be the southwest. Again, a view from the southwest. And again, same view, but you get a little better idea of the addition from this viewpoint. So here's the landscape plan that we have in place, you know, we hired an architect, a landscape architect, that put in place, you know, followed all your code. And I think he was in touch with you, Mike, to discuss, you know, the tree allotments. We also, I believe, you know, we had our civil engineering guy. He submitted the plans that we have here, and I believe there's going to be a small, what would you call it, Mike? A small addition.
It's a water quality basin. It's the depression just north of the existing detention pond that's existing. So that was best management practices, you know, with the new stormwater management codes. So that's the small little depression you see just north of the existing retention.
And then here is the signage, just overview. We're anticipating having a wall sign, a monument sign, and then a sign along close to Route 41 that would be kind of like a, for lack of a better word, a pole sign. And this is the rendering of the monument sign per the code that Mike spoke with our sign developer. Mm-hmm. This is the wall sign that I think we need a small variance in that the coping is I think the signage will be actually at 22 feet, and code is actually saying that we should only have it or code is 20 feet. So we're putting a little higher cupola there to block any views of any new HVAC units. So that'll stop that view. And then, so that's the wall sign that we're looking to put up. And this is the signage that would be along Route 41. And this is the design that code recommends or requires. So I'll let Mike talk a little bit about the building itself.
So I think there was, you guys had at least had a brief conversation about this addition last month. We were trying to prepare to get ready for you. So we did get an opportunity to look at that video. So I do have the advantage of hearing some of the comments that came back. So one of them was, why don't we use the same materials? So let me explain what the architects and us have been discussing and the reasons for that. So there's a product for wall panel system. The manufacturer is called Kingspan. And if you have time, you can Google the website because they have a lot of product renderings and where this product is used. You can see buildings of where this product is used. Things like airports, stadiums, office buildings. It really was developed in Europe and it's becoming more and more in use here in the States. The primary use for the insulated metal panel is, our first choice would be to go typically with precast concrete like the existing building is. Right now, lead time for precast is 46 to 52 weeks. So that'd be a year before I can even introduce anything to you. And that just gets to be too long. So we use this product. It's highly efficient in terms of its energy efficiency. So in terms of our energy consumption, it's a winner for us. Ease of construction, durability, and look. It's a very nice product. So I'll pass these along just so you can see. These are just samples.
Is this a steel finish or a aluminum finish or?
It's steel.
It's steel. That's got like the Kynar finish on it?
Yeah. And it comes in an array of colors. So I think there was a comment too about, I think one of the earlier renderings we had showed, we were trying to mimic that window system, which I think we've eliminated now. But that was the original intent, was to try and mimic that, but we've eliminated that completely. But we have an array of colors that, these are all factory colors. I could pass them along if you see them. But I think we're looking at these lighter colors. And again, we would paint the existing building, the precast building, and everything would match. So it would be one uniform color.
You're getting enough of these. We'll have
The height of the addition would match the lower portion of the existing building, so that parapet height would match as we extend to the east.
And that's about 16 feet.
Roughly.
So the existing precast, it looked to me like it's pretty good.
It's in good shape.
Yeah.
It's in good shape.
You sure you wanna paint it?
Paint it?
Are you sure you want to paint it?
No, we don't have to paint it. I think we can find a color that would be very close to that. But we've painted precast a number of times. It's just the prep really is the important part. So our plan is, like I said, is really to get through to what we call the first phase, which is the permit set of drawings, which we've submitted earlier, as John mentioned, a couple weeks back. Our intent is to get started on that conversion, if you will, and repurposing of that building while we work our way through the approval process to put the addition on. We would be able to bring that first phase to market probably within 5 months. And then, synchronize the expansion, hopefully shortly thereafter, so that we can have more product to deliver toward the end of the year. That's our objective.
Okay, so let's start down there with you, Scott, again. We go from one end to the other and back.
Yeah, I just have a few, this looks great. I have a few questions about the sign. Are the letters backlit, or is the face of the letter lit, or is it lit from the ground?
No, they would be backlit or LED.
Okay.
So
Backlit, okay.
they could be typically backlit, or they could be illuminated individual letters, but they're all, they could be either or.
Okay. But you're proposing backlit?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure what he's proposing.
Well, that's the detail that's on the drawings. It's a backlit LED.
Yeah.
Okay, it says front lit channel letters, so I didn't know what that meant.
They're illuminated, they're illuminated letters.
Okay.
They are illuminated, and they're individual controllers for each letter.
Okay,
So it's different than, I think, the backlit, because it shows a shadow cast onto the back, I think is what you might be thinking about.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's what we're
Oh,
So you're proposing that the letter
I was
actually
gonna tell you, you
illuminates?
need to
The
talk
letter
into the
illuminates.
microphone.
Sorry. Yeah, the letters would be illuminated.
And does that comply with the sign ordinance?
Yeah, because the background field would be opaque, so the light's not coming through the background field, so it's only coming through the letters, so that complies with the sign code.
Okay. That's all I have.
Matt?
Can you show me where this sign is on the site plan?
Sure.
Trying to find it.
This is the other way, let's see.
No, the signage plan, you gotta go, one more. There you go.
Okay, so this sign, which is would be right at the drive here. So,
Kind of close to where the for sale sign is.
Yes.
yes,
Yeah. My only concern, we have this at the kind of target development, at the meatheads, where there's this big sign like this, and it truly blocks the view, because it's on the drivers, it's on the oncoming traffic side. And if you're pulling out, you almost have to inch your way up, to get to a point where you can kind of see the traffic coming through. And is there any thought, or any, to move it to the other side of that driveway?
yeah, I think we did have it here at one point.
Yeah.
I think we'd have the same obstruction looking left,
Yeah, but it's a,
I think our intent was so that we could get visibility from this other, roadway as you're approaching.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
I think
and,
it is set back enough that, that it won't obstruct any, view.
yeah, it just, I know these aren't always 100%. It does seem like it's, and I don't know scale-wise, it's a little, maybe foreshadowed a little bit, but that's just,
Yeah.
because I pull out of there from the bank, whatever, and I have to inch my way.
Yeah, we really made a mistake.
We made a mistake
We
there,
made a
so you
mistake
try not
there.
to make it twice.
Yeah.
So I would just be careful with that, just, this are kind of self-regulating, right, these self-storages, people that aren't familiar with the
Right.
area. here we all know the complex, you know, people are zooping around that corner to get, and I
Or
don't,
they're coming out from,
Yeah.
you know,
right, so I would just,
So the line of sight, we would have, yeah, I think we could certainly make sure we wouldn't want that to be obstructed.
Yeah,
So we
and
pull,
then-
pull it back so that we,
and then-
past the radius.
yeah, and then they went crazy with like prairie grasses, which I love, but that's a whole other wall of vision, you know, that gets blocked. And we all don't drive big trucks here, you know, we have, there's a lot of Range Rovers, but I drive a very humble little car that can't see past all that little stuff. So, you know, I would just be careful with that. It's just a daily, every time.
we did modify, because the original landscape plan came back and they had quite a bit of plantings at that front entrance, which
Yeah.
we told them to remove
yeah.
for that very reason.
Yeah, great, I appreciate that, thank you. But everything else looks great. It's, you know, I wasn't here for that presentation, so I have questions just about the business, you know, just, but that's a non-issue here. These are always very good little products, so it's a good use of this building, so that's it.
Well, it's also low density in terms of traffic too,
Yeah,
so that's
right,
no
yeah.
truck, very few trucks,
No, right, and people always have things to store,
Yes.
a lot.
which is, and then they forget about it and keep paying you, which is the most amazing
We love that.
business model ever, yeah.
There's quite a bit strong, there's very strong demand.
Yeah, no, I know, it's like,
People have got too much junk.
yeah,
I just don't get it,
Well,
And people are downsizing, in a lot of
yeah,
instances.
no, it's all good,
but they need to get rid of it.
yeah. We don't,
Americans love to hoard things, that's just
Yeah.
the nature.
Anyway,
we don't have a setback issue yet, right? We're not at the fit along 40, there's no issues
Correct,
with
correct. I
this.
don't think there's
41?
any setback requirement.
Yeah, we're all, with all that stuff, yeah. So we're not worrying about anything like that, and,
Yeah.
And one of the things I know we had discussed with Mike, and we really didn't put it on the landscape plan, but I know it's, and we need to discuss it, is I know you want us to remove a lot of the brush and, I would use the word thorn.
Buckthorn.
Buckthorn, yeah.
Along Route 41, and we're absolutely willing to do that. It's just, you know, we need permission because it's obviously not our land.
I think a big part of clearing that out is that if you don't clear it out, people will never see that monument sign.
Yeah,
and it'll,
yeah, we'd like to take it all down. I mean, and we're happy to do it, you know, beg forgiveness or ask permission, but yeah, I think that's, IDOT, right, is controlling 41.
Yeah, it's IDOT. We're certainly happy to make a recommendation in favor of
Yeah,
that.
we're happy to
I
do it.
think you would have no problem getting a permit from them.
Okay.
And I assume this board is in favor of all that stuff being cleaned up
Buckthorn?
on
Yeah.
Buckthorn and 41.
Buckthorn
right?
is basically an illegal plant anymore, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering if your monument sign that you shown on there adjacent to Route 41, if it could even be closer to Route 41. It looks like it's set fairly far back.
I'm
And I
glad you
wonder
brought,
if you've driven by on the highway to see where.
we would love to. I think we put it there because it's within our setback line, but if we could put it, you know, outside of that setback,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
How
that.
close is the Target sign?
that's what we were referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I mean, their sign is just a couple feet off their bike path. So you have the sign, you have a couple feet of soil, then you have the bike path, and then the
that's
property
right.
line's just
Yeah.
a couple more feet east of their bike path,
Oh,
so.
no, I was thinking of the sign that's on 41.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, because they did add a bike path on the east side there. It's hidden
Oh,
by
okay, I was
vegetation.
They have a bike
Yeah.
path that goes all the way.
So
around.
it's probably like 15 to 20 feet at most, probably 15 or 16 or
Well, if the
something.
slope was the same, it probably is. It's not that far away.
But yeah, so I think this.
Yeah, we
sign
would like
was-
to move it to like this position here.
Right.
And when
And
you
I
come-
believe that's allowed, because, you know, that sign looks like it was set to be 100 feet back from the property line, but I believe that reference to 100-foot setback in our zoning code is only buildings. I don't,
Then we,
it wasn't, I was just trying to read it before the meeting.
Right,
It's
right.
not 100% clear, but I think it's only buildings and not
Okay, great.
signs there.
yeah, that would be
Yeah.
our preference as well, so if it's allowed, that's what we would do.
I think if you, when you're driving south and you come under the bridge, you gotta look quick to find the Target sign. But your sign is gonna be further south than that. I think that if you're the same distance off the property line as Target
And
is,
you're on a curve.
there's a precedence there. I
Yeah.
think that you gotta get off.
That visibility would be very helpful.
The one issue that I have with the building is, where the addition is put on, it looks like a stuck-on. I don't know how to get around that,
Stuck on,
but I don't,
where am I going here?
Keep going.
There.
There, that's better. I don't know whether you could do something with a reveal between the buildings, like you've got the reveal, that's the top blue line, or something along the edge. It just,
Yeah, that top line on the existing that's a window line.
well, that's the
Yeah,
window
that's
line.
actually glass.
That's the window line, yeah. And we were going to mimic that, but I think there was some thought that that was too contrasting when you guys were kind of discussing amongst yourselves last month. So we kind of removed the contrasting color. We could certainly, add a varying, perhaps a parapet on that corner or step it up to give you a little bit of a different profile. We could put a band, a lighter color band of some sort on there just to give you,
Possibility, or between the addition and the existing building, you could.
something
You could put a vertical band right there.
You know
that's
what,
about
I
4
would,
feet wide.
you've got, if you made it like 2 feet wide, and maybe it only has to be set back
Yeah.
like 4 inches, just take it out of plane, because right now.
step it out and then even above the roof line slightly to give you,
Or make it a different color.
Just,
the black like this.
just step it back and have that insert be, with the dark color, whatever the dark color is that you're using elsewhere.
Yeah.
Same color. And, it's a little jog in the foundation.
sure. A vertical element, and we could probably do it on a couple different points along the east elevation as well.
I don't think you need to.
Okay.
Need
you
to
need
is
to-
just,
The north and the south.
but the south elevation's already got
It's
the
already
step.
set back.
Yeah, let me
There's
show
that.
you. Yeah, here's the south.
But you gotta separate those two, because one of them is gonna be a little bit shiny, even though it's got a pattern to it. And so if there's a separation, so it doesn't look like it's, as Neil says, it's just kind
Yeah.
of stuck on.
I agree, that'd be fine. It's easy to do.
Anyway, Art?
Yeah, one thing is, I look at the building, and I think it's a reasonably nice-looking building. It's 30 years old. It's in very good condition, at least appears to be, to my eye. I'd leave it alone as much as you can. I wouldn't mess with it. That would be my recommendation.
As far as the precast.
Yes, everything
Yeah.
about it,
Yeah, I agree.
Just do as the minimal. And then the other question I had was, the parking lot to the south. It seems like what you're proposing here really doesn't need that quantity of parking.
It's true, we don't, and this is a very large parcel, so the parking lot to the south, we aren't going to use at this time at all. We will probably come back before the village at some point in the next year with a plan to do something there.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's existing parking, isn't it?
That's
It
all
is.
there.
It's all existing.
Yeah. Yeah.
and there's a significant easement here, a utility easement. It's a 50-foot utility easement right here and runs east-west. And so we're looking at that just to see what we can do on that parcel. We have several different ideas, but our intent is to utilize that parking field for some purpose,
In terms of like a building
or several.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Right now, I'd just plow it under and put grass and get rid of that non-permeable surface.
Yeah, we will, we will come before you with some thoughts on this. I mean, we've got some good ideas, at least in our mind, they're good ideas.
Okay,
That would be what we would call phase 3, but in the next 6 to 12 months.
any other comments?
Yeah, I have one more. On the sign that's gonna be on the building itself that says self-storage. I drive by a building in Highwood every day that says McDonald's, and then on the right of it, there's this big switch, and it looks awful.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And I'm just concerned that there are no exterior switches or other controls for that sign that's out there.
No, it won't be. All the controls will be drilled through and they'll be on the inside.
That's, the
Yes.
detail that your sign people did, that's exactly the way it is.
Yeah,
Yep.
right. So, here, we're showing that wall sign, that's on the west elevation. It may be better served to be here on the north elevation, kind of the corner.
Oh, also, I had one question. Are those individual boxes in the shape of the letter,
No, they're individual letters mounted to the building.
but they're not illuminated?
They
or-
are.
So it is kind of a box?
Well, it's not a box, it's,
Box?
Yeah.
or-
sorry? No, they're individual letters. They're individual letters that are mounted, and they're illuminated. Each letter is illuminated, but it's not in a box.
No, but they have a thickness to them.
Yes.
The letters.
Oh, yes, yes,
I think it's
And they're
5 inches.
internally illuminated.
correct. LED.
I like it, straight to the point.
Yeah,
Okay.
So,
I could see moving the sign.
yeah. And I don't know what our allowable is for, each elevation. I think we started to talk about that, Mike. We're limited to one elevation because of the number of signs. Is that what it is?
Yeah, for wall signs on a single-tenant building, it says, one wall sign on an interior lot or two on a corner lot for a corner lot to be allowed to have one sign facing each road. Unfortunately, they didn't mention a through lot, and of course, you don't really want a wall sign facing 41. It's not really facing each road, so this is really, seems to fall closer to the situation where one wall sign is allowed. But this board can make recommendations on an exemption if you want to
I
ask
think
for two.
we tend to oversign things, and this is a gigantic building compared to everything else. Well, not compared to everything else around it, but it's a big building, and one of those signs in either place, you're gonna be able to see it.
Yeah,
Plus your monument sign on the corner.
yeah.
I think you need one side or the other, but not.
Yeah, I'm thinking we may end up putting it here on the north. I guess we'll evaluate that, but I'm thinking it really belongs here, not facing to the west.
What you could do is put self on one side and storage on the other.
And they could blink.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, okay, yeah, no, good suggestions.
Okay, any other comments? If no, then we need a motion. Based on the comments that we've made, I assume. Who wants to make such a motion? Since I can't do it, I gotta work with Rob.
Pretty much we're approving, we haven't really talked about the, kind of our variances, things that don't comply, but I think it's
I
pretty.
think everything does comply now.
Except for the
Except
high wall
except for
sign.
the high wall sign, which is fine. I mean, it's
Right.
such a minimal thing.
Yeah.
So we're good with. And we're recommending to the board.
Right.
So I recommend that we approve the submittal for the Lake Bluff storage, signage and site plan as submitted on this date.
Well, not quite.
Not quite. What do we,
The-
and if I'm looking at moving the monument sign on 41 closer to,
The reveal thing.
and the reveal. Oh, we have a lot of things. Let me start over, sorry. We recommend to the board the self-storage with the two items to be revised. One is to set back on the, what elevation?
Be the north side.
The north elevation, between the existing and new, a 2-foot setback with a defining change in color, at the discretion of the owner to try to match, are we trying to match the window banding coming down, or is that not as necessary, like a darker, it doesn't matter. And then relocation of the monument sign on 41 to move closer to 41 as allowed by the village and IDOT if they have any jurisdiction there.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Art seconds?
In the 2-foot reveal, that's 2 feet wide,
2
not
feet
2
wide.
feet deep.
Yeah, 2 feet wide, and we'd want that setback,
Doesn't have to be much.
yeah, like a foot maybe, just to give
Well,
them,
even
or
that's a lot.
4, 6 inches, just
just
some
to
kind
give-
of, just
yep.
It's the
to break the
difference in
plane.
color that's gonna separate it.
Yeah, but you always want to break that
Still
plane
gotta
so it
break the
doesn't
plane,
match.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking brick dimension, even though it's not there, so.
Yeah, that's fair. So like a 2-foot by 4-inch reveal.
One question, would it need to be done on the other side as well?
That's set back already naturally by the
It's
layout.
already out of plane.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Okay,
see
so
what
we
you're
got a
talking-
motion. We need a second.
Art second.
I'll second.
Okay, we got 2 seconds, a second and a third.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Okay. Member Stradiff?
Aye.
Member Caraway?
Aye.
Member Cottrell?
Aye.
Member Dahlman?
Aye.
And Chair Hunter?
Aye,
Okay, motion passes.
Right.
Recommendations made.
so when are you gonna start this?
We're going to start the design, or finish the design, probably start tomorrow, and hopefully have it completed within a month and submit for, as soon as we get the approval of the village, at the village board.
Yep. Great.
So at least thank you for your time and suggestions. I really appreciate your time tonight. It was helpful, so thank you.
Great,
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
thank you.
How long does it, just a question, how long does it take you to lease up a place like that? A couple of years, or?
Well, to fully lease the property probably would take somewhere between 28 and 36 months.
All 400 and however many places are in there?
Well, there's probably over 500 units ultimately.
Jeez.
But we'll do about somewhere between 25 and 35% of the property leased a year.
I like your plan of getting the existing building going and then the addition.
Yeah, that gives us
Fits
an
right
opportunity to
into
get into
that.
the market, so
Yeah.
the question that we'll ask the building department is to help us get temp occupancy. So once we get the existing building prepped and ready to go.
Sure.
We have all the systems, fire, it's an existing building, so fire suppression and everything that we need is in place while we, so we can conduct business pretty quickly.
Makes sense.
Are you gonna tear down the wall between the two?
We are going
You're just
to
gonna
open that wall.
Just open it up in spots where you need to get through?
Always, right.
Yeah, okay.
Makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hey, Ryan, you still awake back there? All right,
They might have, oh, they done it.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd forgotten those were there.
okay, next is we're gonna review the site plan for Center Avenue Partners. It's a little revision of what we looked at last month, and since the zoning board has not had a chance to review this, we will not do this as a public hearing.
Do I need to recuse myself? I think I recused myself for the initial one.
No,
Oh.
you don't need to.
Not for this?
time. No.
Okay.
You and Scott would, I mean, we'd be,
No, I think the PCZBA did review this, right, Ron? Yeah, they have reviewed it and made their recommendation now.
oh, they have, okay.
Yeah,
Then it is a
right.
public hearing.
Yep.
Okay, Ron, where'd you go?
Go ahead, we're ready for you to come up to the dais and do your presentation. Tell us
Thanks,
what
guys.
you'd like to tell us.
Thank you.
Ron Osterline, 217 Ascot Court. We are, I think, really the only thing we're doing now is expanding the brickwork and moving the storm sewer out to the west. And, well, actually, and also moving one parking space, handicap parking space from the east side to the west side of the parking lot. And the one parking space that we'll be losing, we're gonna put that permanently in the stacked, in the drive-through, the front of the drive-through. As a, so that we're not technically losing any spaces to make the change.
What about the wall?
We're not doing anything about that right now. We just wanna do the brickwork at this point.
Okay, so there
So-
would be just the curb, the end of the brick, the curb, and then the asphalt.
Right, yeah.
What did I see? Yeah, no longer
Yeah,
proposed.
that's why I'm asking the question, right, yeah, okay. All right, any thoughts on this, folks?
So if I understand it right, you're adding the brick paving so it's the same height as the other and a curb, and moving that one parking space, and adding one parking space in the drive-through.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, originally we were gonna try to, put a wall up or some sort of screening there, and eventually we'll do that, but we just don't there's just too much going on right now to get that all, to get you the perfect what we want to do. We don't know ourselves what we want to do, so we have to figure it out.
Okay. What do you think, Art?
I can't see any reason that it isn't a good idea. I just,
Oh, it's like,
it seems somewhat minor, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Matt?
Actually, you probably should be recused, as I recall you had done a drawing for this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say.
count you as recused, yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Okay. You can't make a motion.
I'm not gonna, well, I failed last time anyways, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so
It's
somebody else make a motion?
That's the worst motion ever.
Make a motion that this project be approved as submitted.
Great. Thank you.
Second?
And we'll keep on,
Second?
Okay,
oh, sorry.
Another roll call.
okay. Member Stratiff,
Aye.
Member Kerouac, I'm sorry, Member Cottrell,
Aye.
Member Dahlman,
Aye.
and Chair Hunter.
Aye.
And Member Kerouac is recused. 4 ayes, motion passes.
Awesome.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Ryan.
Appreciate it.
Kind of got through that in okay order.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tell me something, it just says, new to this. Now, those folks tonight with the storage place, we recommended some changes to the floor plan essentially. Will they come back now, or will Mike ensure that those things
Something,
are?
well, correct me if I'm wrong, but we didn't ask them to come back, and, that just adds another month or two to the
Right, no,
system.
I understand, but I'm just curious. as
Yeah,
to how
and
that-
so if it's something that's relatively minor, that Mike can easily catch. Are you doing it, or is Lake Forest doing it?
I will do parts of the review.
Okay.
They're gonna do
So,
parts, yeah.
Because we rely on Mike to catch a lot of things, and he does.
Yeah.
So,
In the.
but some of the stuff, yeah, it's a little like with Rob Douglas,
That has to come back.
It's
That's too
gotta
much
come
of a
back
change.
in some fashion, or it's gonna come back, because now you've thrown it all in my lap. So it's gonna come back to me.
The other thing is, this Albrecht was, they're saying site plan review. But, it's more than the site plan.
Well, you're
isn't
getting
it?
into what I started to talk about last month,
But-
is what we call ourselves. We call ourselves the Architectural Board of Review, but it never mentions architectural review in the ordinance that creates us. It talks about site plan, it talks about signage, a little bit about, can't duplicate something, I can't remember what it's called now. But it doesn't really describe us looking at buildings. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to sit down. We tried to do that 2 years ago, I guess. And it just got,
Well, what does the village code say about it?
that is the village code. It just doesn't describe it right.
Yeah, right. I mean, it does say, what Bob's saying is right, but it's somewhere in there, if you read it all carefully, it does say we're supposed to look at the exterior appearance of the building, plus the site and the landscaping and the signs and all that, parking lot lights, exterior lights, all
Yeah,
that.
and as far as the protocol in the beginning paragraph of what we do, it really doesn't say much.
Right, it starts with signs.
So I think it should, it's because I remember I think it was when we were starting to work with Target. And Mickey from the zoning board, big meeting, and I was talking about something. She said, I thought all you guys did was signs. Now, this is someone that's been on the zoning board for, I don't know, 15 years.
Right. And the term site plan review isn't always the clearest term,
No.
especially when somebody comes in for an awning or a facade change
Yeah.
or something like that. We're talking about approving a site plan review, and it's a change on the facade of their building or something that we're approving, but that's the term the code uses.
And we've probably spent 1,000 hours looking at awnings and revising signage on awnings. And thankfully, they're gone.
Yeah. I remember in Highland Park, they started out as the Appearance Review Commission and then changed to the Design Review Commission because they thought there were negative connotations to doing appearance review. But appearance review, that's the one time everyone understood the term, you know, and everyone knew what they were looking at. Once you went to design review, people got confused whether you're checking code
Right.
requirements or, you know, other things other than the appearance.
Except the one problem with the one in Highland Park, because I was on that commission at one time,
Right.
is somebody came in and said, appearance review? What do parents have to do with the design of the building?"
That's not a problem. Not a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, that was not a
With the
problem.
Highland Park people.
And then the only public notice of our meetings is just the agenda is posted on the website?
No, for the site plan review items, we do mail out notice to property owners within 300 feet also.
Okay,
So-
so everybody around the surrounding people of the
Right, they get that.
storage place got a notification that something was
And
happening.
they didn't show up, but sometimes people show up here.
Sometimes
Right, sure, I imagine they
Right,
would,
yep.
you know.
when we were dealing with Block 3, we'd have 100 people in this room, standing all over the place, screaming at each other. It was pretty deadly.
Is
Calling
there
each other
someplace on
names.
the website, you folks refer to Block 1 and so on and so forth, that what's being proposed there and so forth, or the master plan kind of thing?
Yeah, actually, I think it is on there.
The master
Tesco
plan,
master plan?
yeah, it is on the website somewhere. I can email you a link. I'll have to look for it. It is on there somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you that.
Because as I
That's
say,
a
you
good
guys
question.
refer to it and so forth, and I'm going, no.
Right, you're right, yeah, right.
That's Block 1, is there a Block 24?
You haven't been watching 8 years of our EBR? It's very exciting stuff.
Block 37?
I was sorry to hear you say that Block 3 isn't going to be done this year. I thought it was going to be done this year.
A block
You mean
one.
Block 1?
Block
Block
one,
one,
I mean.
Well,
right,
they-
yeah.
Block 3 is done.
Yeah, right. Yeah, block 1 was never budgeted. The plan was just approved for it.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
realize that. I had
wasn't
thought it was,
approved
but.
to be
So I think that the next, one of the things that's gonna be coming down the pipe now from my watching the board meeting from the other night is the Green Bay Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like they got the funding for that. And remember, we talked about that probably 6 months ago,
yeah.
what to do with the archways.
Those great archways?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that issue has gone away.
I don't know where that is. I don't
You know,
think
the
that's
Green
been
Bay Bridge
resolved.
Which
goes
bridge
over the
is
railroad
that?
tracks if you're going south into
Which
Lake
bridge
Forest.
is that?
Between Lake Bluff and Lake Forest?
Yeah, right at Stone,
okay.
right before
Alright.
Stonebridge.
They're gonna.
South of
and-
Stonebridge, yeah.
And that's like Bluff's Bridge, right? Or I mean,
Yeah.
it's in the.
Yeah.
It's just- But this, it needs to
It
be
is, yeah.
replaced. And the state said we could do what we wanted to, except the historic preservation, Illinois state said, we're not gonna allow them to give you a grant if you don't figure out how to save. If you look at the bridge, there's some outriggers, and then this
Yeah.
steel comes up and it makes an archway, and they're actually kinda cool.
Where is this?
Yeah,
I can't picture it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if you ever taken Green Bay from Lake Forest to Lake Bluff.
Yeah.
There's that bridge over the tracks, right?
Okay.
So
I'll
if
look
you
tomorrow.
look on your right as you're coming north, you look on, it's precarious when you're on your bike. I mean, those
curious if
things,
you're standing there.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty ominous, these big, rusted steel frameworks, but they're very cool.
So
But-
the historic preservation of state of Illinois said, we're not gonna let you do anything unless you figure out how to save those or incorporate those into the bridge. Well, they're all rusted, you could never get them off. You know, we went through all kinds of ideas of what to do with them. From making shelters at the train station for bikes to shelters on the beach and, they're big, but they're cool.
We can use them in the new wetlands. They'd be cool.
They would,
Yeah, we
There
could
you
do
go.
something. It'd be kind of a cool little sculptural thing.
yeah.
Well, I have a
Gives
concern.
Oh, they don't mind you taking them and repurposing
They want us to.
them.
Well, actually, they did come back and say, well, that's not such a great idea to use them somewhere else. It should be part of the bridge still.
I do
That's
have a
expecting
concern
a lot,
about
though.
Yeah,
bridges in that
that's a,
It's out of
Because-
context when you
Yeah.
move it.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
truly out of context.
Well, we've done two bridges that I can think of. One, I think, turned out absolutely superb, and that's the one on Moffett Road.
The Moffett Bridge, right.
We did, the second bridge that we did is the bicycle bridge just south of the train station. And I think
We
that's-
didn't do
I
that.
think that
We
is
just,
awful.
yeah, it is. It-
Yeah.
And
there-
I hope if we do another bridge, we don't end up with one anywhere
No.
close to the one by
No,
the
we're not gonna do
train
that
station.
again. That one was, I don't know if we were forced into that.
Where's the nearest restaurant?
It's straight down the hall there.
Down the hall.
We
on
can,
to
we
your
can
right.
go home.
Are we done?
Anybody?
We
would
could,
like to-
we could
could
adjourn.
adjourn.
I'd just
Oh,
make a
yeah,
quick
you got
comment on my
your-
last item on the building codes
Building code.
here. But only to say that I don't think there's a lot to discuss here.
Okay.
It was a busy month, so I did some of the easy chapters that don't really have a lot of, don't really have much for issues and all that. So unless someone else has comments or questions, I don't really have a lot to say about those
Forgot about that.
chapters. So do we want to make a motion to
So,
adjourn?
somebody make.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Don't have to take roll call. All right.
Okay.
You're still recycling?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
There you go.
Meeting's adjourned.
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 There you go.
Meeting's adjourned. 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 Adjourned.